In today's video, we'll summarize the first 3 episodes of the show, The Imperfects. It all starts with Tilda, who serves as the lead singer in a band on the rise. Tilda's boyfriend showers her with praise when she strikes a fantastic deal for their band's upcoming tour. As they share an embrace, he inquires about her medication because her temperature seems low. Tilda explains that she's been rationing her meds because the next batch hasn't arrived yet. Meanwhile, Abby, a talented student, toils away in the lab on her experiments. Later, she meets up with her friends Paul and Jules to discuss her application to Oxford. Jules is a bit negative, but when she receives an email from the university and opens it, she's overjoyed to discover she's advanced to the interview stage. Excitement bubbles up, and she begins planning her move to the UK, including how to manage her medication during the transition. On another note, Juan, a comic book artist, faces a scolding for using school resources to print his comic, Sugar Skull, inspired by his brother. However, he avoids trouble when he strikes a monetary deal to share his earnings with the principal, sealed with a handshake. As they seal the deal, he starts feeling dizzy and reaches for the same pills Tilda and Abby take to ease his symptoms, only to realize he's run out. Later, Abby has her interview with Oxford, and it doesn't go smoothly. Her jokes fall flat. Little does she know that she's unintentionally releasing pheromones, which the interviewers inhale. Strangely, they begin to find her less than stellar jokes amusing and even guarantee her a spot at the university. However, this newfound ability to influence others starts to take an unusual turn. As they argue about who should guide her, she becomes overwhelmed and quickly tries to leave. In her rush, she accidentally collides with Doug, who also catches a strong whiff of her scent and can't seem to let go of her. She manages to break free only after using some air freshener, which cancels out the effect. Later that night, Tilda performs with her band. Suddenly, her ears become extremely sensitive to the loud music, and she starts singing off-key, causing a nearby mirror to shatter. It all becomes too much for her, so she exits the stage while her bandmates continue playing. On her way out, she runs into Doug again. After the show, she sits at the bar, where she overhears others discussing her behavior. Alcohol appears to somewhat reduce her heightened sensitivity. PJ later approaches her to offer reassurance, but she insists on being left alone. Meanwhile, Juan and his girlfriend Darcy host a house party. However, Juan still doesn't feel well because it has been 3 days since he ran out of his medication. Darcy mentions it, and he tells her that he tried calling the clinic twice, but received no response. In response, Darcy decides to help him get some rest. In an unusual turn of events, Doug discreetly observes the party, and the following morning, Juan awakens in a field, utterly bewildered. His clothes are tattered, and his face is smeared with blood. He anxiously heads back home, fearing the worst. Thankfully, his girlfriend is unharmed. Hurriedly, he slips into the bathroom, asking her about the events of the previous night, but everything seems entirely normal. Seeking answers, Juan scours the internet for any incident reports, stumbling upon a CCTV video showing him capturing a raccoon from someone's backyard. Puzzled, he heads to the clinic to figure out why he hasn't received his prescribed medication. At the clinic, Juan encounters Tilda, who appears somewhat groggy. They playfully exchange banter, reminiscing about 7 years since their last meeting. Suddenly, Abby barges in, wielding an air freshener to neutralize her own pheromones. Seeing the trio gathered, she deduces that their medications haven't arrived either. Dr. Sarkov emerges from his office, engaged in a heated argument with Isabel, who sternly advises the youngsters to steer clear of the doctor. After she departs, he apologizes for the delay in their medication, explaining that his assistant is expecting a baby. The 3 friends belong to a wellness program due to their shared condition, known as Acute Genetic Decay Syndrome, AGDS. They were subjects of experiments as children, all in the pursuit of finding a cure. He requested an update on their well-being without the medication. They unanimously expressed that they weren't feeling great. The doctor seized this opportunity to collect blood samples and assess their progress to see if their treatment needed adjustment. Tilda caught a whiff of Abby's scent and started feeling attracted to her. She repelled her advances by spraying her in the face, snapping her back to reality. Sarkov examined each of them individually as they described their symptoms. However, one of them only mentioned experiencing blackouts. The doctor provided them with their prescribed medication and sent them on their way. Unfortunately, the medication didn't seem to alleviate their symptoms, as they all continued to suffer. Tilda returned home, only to overhear her bandmates replacing her as the lead singer. This upset her, and she let out a scream, causing some glass to shatter before leaving. Abby's scent still affected her friends, driving them wild. She was compelled to take a shower to halt their infatuated behavior. Juan woke up once again on the same field, shirtless this time, with a dog named Puddles as his unexpected companion. Meanwhile, at Dr. Burke's well-appointed research lab, she was examining brain scans from her experiments when Sarkov interrupted her with a call. He informed her of a breakthrough regarding AGDS and explained that the side effects were unrelated to the modified DNA. However, she held the opposing view, stemming from their past collaboration. Dr. Sarkov had proposed an alternative therapy that was both illegal and unethical, leading to their split. She pressed him for details on his newfound conclusion, but he hesitated to reveal it due to its moral implications, prompting her to end the call. In the meantime, the three friends gathered at the park to discuss how their symptoms were manifesting. Juan managed to capture a photograph of his transformed state during his blackouts. When Tilda saw the picture, she jokingly teased him, likening him to a werewolf. To lighten the mood, she playfully labeled their group as CHUPACABRA, Banshee, and Succubus. Soon they began to suspect that the doctor had given them placebos, so they decided to return to the clinic seeking an explanation. Upon arrival, they encountered Dr. Burke, who informed them that the clinic had been closed for 7 years. She explained that the medication they had developed was intended to prevent the side effects rather than reverse them, rendering it pointless to take now. Sarkov had secretly pursued his own research, diverging from Dr. Burke's approach. Back in her office, she revealed that they used synthetic stem cells to rectify the errors in their DNA, as opposed to using cells harvested from their own bodies. Sarkov had envisioned replacing the human genome with what he believed to be a superior design, a point of contention that led to their separation. The pills had kept their modified cells stable. Abby deduced that Sarkov had intentionally taken them off their medication to see if they would develop side effects. This revelation left them feeling angry and questioning their very humanity. Burke assures them she'll do her best to find a cure, acknowledging it would be easier with Sarkov. They hatch a plan to locate him, but as they leave, Doug arrives, demanding Sarkov's whereabouts and the box of stem cells Abby holds. He knocks down the doctor. Tilda tries to stop him with a table, but it's not effective, and she goes down. As Doug approaches Abby, Juan transforms and takes him out, but Burke sedates Juan to prevent further harm. Later, Juan wakes up in Burke's home, witnessing her conduct an autopsy on Doug. To their astonishment, Doug's body is significantly enhanced. While the doctor is preoccupied, Juan notices Doug's heart restarting. Tilda takes a closer look and frees herself from his grip, while Abby kills Doug again with a stab to the chest. However, his wounds begin to heal, so Tilda swiftly removes his head. They bury his body in the backyard and find Juan's camera, containing pictures of them engaging in various activities. Among them, they discover a photo of Hannah, another wellness program participant, raising concerns about Sarkov possibly stopping her pills. They decide to track her down. Meanwhile, Tilda contacts her dad to question him about her experimental treatment, but he avoids the topic and ends the call. PJ confronts her for shutting him out, so she reveals her powers to him, leaving him in disbelief. The band has temporarily replaced her, offering hope if she can cure herself. Back at Juan's place, Darcy grows suspicious as Juan didn't return home the previous night. He offers a somewhat convincing explanation to avoid trouble. During this time, Dr. Burke has a nightmare of someone attacking her with a hammer. She wakes up screaming, and Abby rushes to check on her. The doctor attributes it to side effects of a new allergy medication she's taking, but later decides against it. The three convene in the kitchen, discussing how to find Hannah. Someone suggests they ask Doug, so they dig him up and tie him to a bed, witnessing his head reattached to their amazement and disgust. Later, Doug resurrects in a screaming state in Spain, minus the S. Abby administers an injection to alleviate his pain. Afterward, they engage in a conversation that reveals an astonishing fact. Even in his deceased state, he remains aware of his bodily condition. Sarkov had deceived him during the experiments, falsely inflating his sense of strength and speed. However, despite his immediate healing abilities upon injury, the persistent pain continues to haunt him. It transpires that they are all on a quest to locate Sarkov, seeking a remedy for their shared condition. Doug consents to sharing information on one condition. They must ensure he remains permanently deceased, given the insufferable and never-ending agony he endures. Following a group discussion, they resolve to honor his request. Doug discloses that Sarkov possesses a laptop in his office containing all the crucial information they seek. Abby and Juan embark on a journey to Sarkov's office, only to encounter a dated computer upon their arrival. They search for the information, but they come up empty-handed. Meanwhile, Tilda has a deep conversation with Doug and decides to set him free. Dr. Burke experiences another nightmare, this time featuring a terrifying, faceless creature attacking her with a sledgehammer. Abby and Juan return without any success and express their frustration towards Tilda for letting Doug go. However, Doug reappears and chooses to leave this world in a grand display, resembling a spectacular firework. As they clean up Doug's remains, Tilda invites them to her office, where she uses her unique abilities to uncover a concealed door. Behind it, they discover a laptop containing a list of all the participants in the program, which will help them track down Hannah. Abby pays Hannah a visit and reveals that her body rejected the stem cells, sparing her from the need to take the medication. Abby attempts to discuss the current situation with Hannah, which piques her interest. Hannah discloses that Sarkov had called her recently, requesting a blood sample, but she refused, citing that the number he used is blocked. Abby tries to persuade her to reconsider, but Hannah remains adamant. Abby returns to Burke's place, and they initiate contact with every person involved in the wellness program. Juan makes his way back home, where he undergoes another transformation into a werewolf. This time, Darcy witnesses the transformation. In the meantime, Isabel recruits Hannah to help her attack the scientists that were part of the program. Meanwhile, Dr. Burke experiences yet another unsettling nightmare, this time featuring her faceless visage. Isabel wastes no time and eliminates one of the scientists known as Reg. Abby later contacts Max from Portland, who is also a participant in the wellness program. Max informs her that Sarkov got in touch with him, and they've agreed to meet up. Max seems willing to have them accompany him, but it becomes clear that he has hidden motives as he confers with his partners, Kamara and Melanie, while one of them prepares to leave for Portland. Darcy, despite his worries, finds himself more fascinated than frightened by Juan's werewolf form. Before they depart, Dr. Burke equips Abby with a scentless spray, Tilda with earplugs, and Juan with a device to monitor his vital signs, all in an attempt to unravel the triggers of his transformations. They embark on their journey to Portland, using Tilda's band's van, with Juan secured in the back. Burke reluctantly reaches out to her colleague, Dr. Bryan, for assistance, which he agrees to provide. Meanwhile, the trio arrives in Portland and meets Max. However, Max and his crew waste no time in capturing them by sedating them. Abby manages to escape using her pheromones to control Melanie, who unintentionally instructs her to take the lead to Valhalla. It turns out Max had been deceased for a long time, and Nate had assumed his identity to lure them in, with plans to sell them to a company called Flux. More importantly, Isabel gains access to Brian's office with Hannah's help, while he leaves a voicemail for Burke, explaining that the side effects are caused by a protein glitch. Isabel interrupts his message by eliminating him with a flammable substance. Back in Portland, Abby employs her powers once again to command Nate to render himself unconscious, allowing her to free Tilda. They encounter Kimura, who holds them at gunpoint, providing him with an opportunity to transform before fleeing. Tilda and Abby set off in pursuit of him. Shortly after their departure, a mysterious agent arrives at the scene of the commotion. After a brief inspection, he requests a cleaner, reporting that whatever caused this chaos is still at large, bringing the episode to an end.